Hello and welcome to Redmen TV. I'm joined by Harry from Wolves Fan TV. Harry, thank you very much for joining us ahead of the big game on Friday night.
No problem. Good to be on.
Excellent, mate. So we did a show last night on Wolves Fan TV. If you want to check out our preview, do go over there. Wolves Fan TV on YouTube. It's at Wolves Fan TV _ on Twitter as well. If anyone wants to follow you on Twitter. Sounds. So let's get into it, mate. Wolves have had some good results against some good sides this season, haven't they? What are you expecting to see out of your Wolves side on Friday night at Molineux?
Well, we're just going to hopefully do exactly what we've been doing whenever we've played any big side. It was the same style against Arsenal, City, Chelsea. It's just we really want to play on the attack. We want to take the game to Liverpool, to anyone we play, really. We obviously, with our three at the back, we have three forwards. So we like to make the best use of the pitch. Sometimes if that means we're going to pass out wide and try and use pace to cut inside, that's what we'll do. So I'm not even hoping, because I know the fact that Nuno, he's quite stubborn. He wants us to win every single game and he wants us to play in the same style. He's never really shirked or been more conservative against the bigger sides, because I think, as well as that, maybe even the good results we've had against these big teams is going to make him have absolutely no doubt whatsoever that regardless of how good we all know Liverpool are, he's going to play to win. And that's refreshing as a Wolves fan, because to be honest with you, I've seen some absolutely dire stuff. So it's just a great time at the minute.
I think you're right, Andy. I think, every fan of every football club would want their side to go out there and try and win the game of football. I mean, look what Jose Mourinho did against us for Manchester United. He didn't try and win the game of footy, did he? But no. Nuno's had a good record so far this season. You're flying high in the Premier League. You're 70, probably, maybe, arguably higher than you thought you'd be at this time of the season.
Yeah.
But this is the time of the season, isn't it, Harry, where smaller squads start to have an effect on games. You know, the amount of games, the 1, 2, 3 games a week that Liverpool are playing and are used to playing, could stand us in good stead. Or has Nuno been rotating? Because I think I'm right in saying early on in the season he wasn't rotating, but maybe last few weeks he started to rotate.
Well, I don't know. I mean, obviously, Liverpool's squad depth is probably stronger than it's been for a long time. But to be honest with you, I think making the changes and actually some of the players perhaps wearing thin, I think it's kind of worked in our favour. Because to be honest with you, before, I think Neves' suspension against Chelsea was the first time in a long time, really, that we'd made a change in that position. And, for example, at Bournemouth, Nuno made 3 changes before we won that game. So, to be honest with you, I still think we have got that little bit of depth. And to be honest with you, I would also look at, in my opinion, I think Liverpool had a massive few games recently. I mean, the Napoli one must have been quite draining just to stick to that certain scoreline. And Man United, I mean, you gave that everything you had. I think 35, 36 attempts on goal. I mean, I know it was against Man United, but still, I mean, that must have been a tricky performance. But I think overall, I don't think they would make the biggest difference. I think you might argue that Moutinho and Neves aren't 100% at the minute. Some have been suggesting they need a rest. But apart from that, I think most of the squad, they're fit and firing. I think we're ready to go for Friday.
What about the young kid that's been supporting Jimenez the last few games? What's he been playing like?
Well, Morgan Gibbs-White, he's a player that's way beyond his years, to be honest with you. You wouldn't know, he's still a teenager, same age as Jordan Sancho, but just like him, I guess, he's taken it to the top level and performing as if he's been there all his life, to be honest. It's quite a surprise as a Wolves fan, because as good as we all knew he was, last year I don't think he was in fact one of our standout performers, and you might refer to him being quite like Ryan Sessegnon perhaps, or even Jack Grealish has been for Aston Villa at times, being young and being one of our spearheading players, but he hasn't at all. His control of the ball, his vision, and the way that he can adjust to any game, really. I mean, he bossed Chelsea around going up front. He can also play central midfield, so he's exciting. I mean, it's unexpected. I didn't particularly at the start of the season imagine having him as one of our key components, especially the fact that I thought he might have had 1 or 2 years, perhaps even going on loan. But it's a lovely surprise. He's playing fantastically well, and I think most Wolves fans are pretty adamant that we want him to start games now because he just offers so much, and he's actually very nice to have, especially for Raul Jimenez's sake, because he creates a lot more space for him to channel along. So fantastic player.
So what about this? I know you've been playing 3 at the back and you've been playing that all season long, and whenever Liverpool have come up against sides who play 3 at the back, they've had a lot of success because, generally speaking, there's 3 of our guys, whether they're playing as in a 4-2-3-1 or whether we're playing in a 4-3-3. Generally speaking, we come up with Sadio Mane, Roberto Firmino and Mo Salah against 3 defenders, and it causes issues. How have you guys done against sides who've sort of played with 3 attacking players like that?
To be honest, I think there hasn't been a great deal of problem, to be honest. If you consider the games we've lost, it was against, Watford, Cardiff. They're not exactly teams that have a particularly productive attacking force. Whereas if you consider the way that the Man City, I suppose, can sometimes play, they can sometimes use three. Or you can have teams such as Arsenal. I think at one point they moved to a three at the front halfway through the game. We seem to adjust really well. That's been very surprising, to be honest, because obviously normally our back three is Connor, Cody, Ryan, Bennett, Willie, Bolly. And the way they've also adjusted to the Premier League, I think, to be honest with you, if there are teams who like to be productive and have three up front, we seem to adjust quite well. Obviously, then the wing backs have to do a lot more tracking back because then at times technically we have five if we can, create that opportunity. So I think we'll be fine, to be honest. Obviously, the fact it's Salah, Firmino and such, that's a little bit of a threat, just to put it lightly. But I think, to be honest with you, we've been up against, we played against Lacazette and Aubameyang against Arsenal when you might as well not even have been on the pitch, to be honest with you. We kept them incredibly quiet. And same as I think with Aguero at Man City. So we have that ability, to be honest with you. We will just, Nuno will make sure that his tactics are spot on and make sure that we just adjust accordingly to be, productive against these attacking players.
I always like to talk about the strengths and weaknesses of the opposition whenever I do one of these shows. So what would be Wolves' strength? How are they going to score goals?
I think our strength perhaps is the number one. I think we play as a team. The way that we are, I think everybody gives everything. Not once when we've been playing slightly bad the last month, has anyone ever really questioned the fact that they haven't been given everything. It's normally just a case of not being productive with chances, but maybe more on that later. But I think for us, our strength as well is we're very good. We use our pace extremely well. We have players with fantastic vision. If you reference Moutinho, Neves, even Gibbs-White, Roman Saiz can pick a pass out as well. Matt Doherty as well. He's got surging pace. And I'd also say that when we have a front three that are doing well, I think Helder Costa, Jota, Traore, he's arguably the fastest player in the league. So we definitely aren't short of pace. And I'd also say probably we're good on team unity as well. I'd say that's been serving us well.
And what about the flip side of that then, Harry? What about the defensive side of things? How are Liverpool best trying to attack and beat Wolves?
I think, to be honest with you, the best way, if we're going to look at in how to beat us, because normally I've been to say most of our games we've been pretty sound in defence, midfield and attack. I wouldn't necessarily say there is a massive weak point where there sometimes has been for Wolves. We've been pretty productive tactically, but if you really want to beat Wolves, I would say the best way of doing that is to score first, because I still feel, and I think it's been shown a few times, I think the only time it hasn't been shown is against Chelsea when we went from 1 goal down to 2-1. There's still a little bit of a problem mentally when it comes to perhaps readjusting after going.
So we score early, is that what you're trying to say?
Well, I say if you score in the first 10 minutes, then you've definitely got us on the ropes, because especially the fact that you consider the two games when we got that point against Arsenal, we scored first. When we got that point against City, we scored first, albeit quite controversial. I think, to be honest with you, apart from perhaps against Man United, but I think second half they were really flat. And I guess Chelsea, when they went a goal down and we just really turned it up a gear. We've got countless occasions, really, say Watford, that was another example, when we concede a goal and we just put on the brakes.
Why do you think that is?
I don't know. I think, to be honest with you, because I would maybe put it towards the fact that last year we very, very rarely, Nuno, obviously that was his first year, very rarely went behind against any side because we just blitzed the league. I suppose perhaps that it's just that challenge and of course momentum has a part to play. When a Premier League side, I say, gains extra momentum from scoring a goal, it's a strange contrast to, I guess, a Championship side gaining momentum. So I suppose for us, especially as a new team, it's just a new challenge. I think Nuno sets his teams up obviously to play to win all the time. So when we go a goal behind, that can sometimes put a little bit of a break in the works, because that just reinvigorates the other team, and that might just lead to us sometimes just about struggling to mentally change the game around. But I think that might be changing, hopefully.
Okay. Before we get on to score predictions, I want to ask you what's next for Wolves this season. How high do you think Wolves can realistically finish? You think where they are now is about where they're going to finish, or do you think there might be a little bit of a drop-off when teams are getting used to playing how Wolves play?
I'm really not sure. I mean, the table is so tight. I mean, a month ago we were looking at, we're only about 5-6 points away from the bottom three now. The football's not good at all. We're in a bit of trouble. And then all of a sudden we turn it around and we're up to 7th. It's so surreal as a newly promoted side to be 1 point behind United and to be, above what so many other sides that are established. So I really have no idea what we can do. January will be a pivotal factor. Staying injury free will be a pivotal factor. I mean, if we invest well in January, there's still 1 or 2 positions we could definitely strengthen upon. And if we keep that momentum going, if Nuno gets, protected and doesn't leave to join a big club, which is only going to be more likely if he continues what he's doing. Why not? Why not rule out being 7th, to be honest with you? Everton, they're still in transition. I think Everton next season will be a lot stronger. I think West Ham are a little bit of a threat, and I'd also say, you're looking at Bournemouth. If they get their act together, they might be. But I don't see why not. I mean, as long as Burton don't win the League Cup, I think we'll be safe getting Europe in 7th, because I think then whoever wins, I think the FA Cup or the League Cup, and who hasn't qualified in that position gets that position.
Well, so Man City have drawn Burton, so I can't imagine that they're going to go through. We tonked Burton about 5-0 a couple of years ago. They weren't great. What about your score prediction for the game on Friday then?
Well, I'm ever the optimist, Chris, and I would love to be realistic, I guess some would say. But I did that against Man City and I was proved wrong. So I'm going to say Wolves 1, Liverpool 0, Raul Jimenez header in the 36th minute to win it for us.
Well, I'm going to say then that you're wrong. Okay, that's my prediction. I'm going to go for a Liverpool victory. I'm going to go Liverpool stretch the lead to 4 points at the top of the Premier League table, are top at Christmas, and hopefully, as the only side in the Premier League era that have been top at Christmas and not won the league, which we've done twice. Hopefully this will be the time when it changes and we actually go on and win the league. But it's going to be difficult. We all know it's going to be difficult. Each and every game matters to Liverpool Football Club at the moment, which is a great position to be in. There's been years when I've followed Liverpool where we're done at this time of the year, where you're thinking to yourself, there's nothing to play for, bring on next season. But thankfully at the moment it looks like that's not going to be the case. We're into the next round of the Champions League. Dejan Lovren's talking about us going unbeaten for an entire season and taking a stick for that.
Back in the world.
Yeah, mad, isn't he? But listen, thank you very much everybody for watching. Harry, thank you very much for joining me from Wolves Fan TV.
Pleasure, Chris.
And we'll see you next time, hopefully before the next game. But fingers crossed, Liverpool do stay top of the table for Christmas. Go and check out Wolves Fan TV, the preview we did over there. Link will be in the description. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to subscribe to the Redmen TV, and I'll see you next time. Ta-ra.